Today we're going to talk about a multiplication strategy called doubling and repeated doubling. So here's how it works. Let's say you have a question like 6 times 4, but you're not sure what the answer is. Well, what you could do is cut one of the factors. Remember that these are each called factors, and we could cut one of them in half and rewrite a question. Let's cut the 6 in half. It becomes a 3. And we're only cutting one of them in half. Now, do you know what 3 times 4 is? You do. It's 12. So what we do now is this is where we call the repeated doubling. Because the 3 doubles to a 6 as we move up, the 12 doubles to 24. And therefore, 6 times 4 is 24. We know the answer to that. Let's do some more examples together. Here's another example of doubling and repeated doubling. Let's take 8 times 6. Well, I'm not sure what that is, so I'm going to cut one of those factors in half. I'm going to cut the 8 in half. Half of 8 is 4. So now I have 4 times 6. I'm still not too sure what 4 times 6 is, so you know what? I can cut another factor in half. I'm going to cut the 4 in half again to get 2 times 6. Each time I'm only cutting one factor in half. Do you know what 2 times 6 is? 2 times 6 is 12. So now as I move up what I call the ladder, I'm going to double my answer each time, or my product. So 12 doubled is 24. And 24 doubled is 48. So there you have it. 8 times 6 is 48. Let's do another example together. Let's do a really tough one. Let's do 16 times 8. Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, what I like to call this is let's build the ladder going down by cutting one factor in half each time. So let's cut the 8 in half. So I'm going to have 16 times 4. But I still don't know what 16 times 4 is. So I'm going to cut this one, the 16 in half, and I'm going to get 8 times 4. But let's say I didn't know what 8 times 4 is. Well, let's cut another one in half, another factor. Let's cut the 8 in half. 4 times 4. Do you know what 4 times 4 is? It's 16. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build our ladder going up, and each time we go up, we double, which means multiply by 2, our product or answer. So 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2, I'm not sure what that is, so I'm going to do some margin work. 32 plus 32 is like 32 times 2. It's 64. And 64 plus 64, I'm going to do some more margin work to figure that out. 128. And look at that, we just figured out that 16 times 8 equals 128. And it wasn't too hard. You could continue to cut a factor in half until you get to a multiplication question that you know. So let's do this one. 16 times 12. Well, I'm going to cut the 16 in half and get 8 times 12. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to cut another of those factors in half. 8 times, I'm going to cut 12 in half, 6. I'm not sure what that is yet, so I'm going to cut another one in half. And I'm going to go 8 times, and half of 6 is 3. And I'm still not sure what that is, so I'm going to cut the 8 in half and get 4 times 3. 4 times 3 I can do. 4 times 3 I know is 12. So I've built my ladder going down, and now I'm going to climb up the ladder, doubling each product as I go. So 12 times 2, which is like 12 plus 12, is 24. 24 plus 24 is 48. 48 plus 48, I don't know, so I'm going to do some margin work, which is always a smart thing to do in math. It's 96. 96 plus 96, I'm going to do some more margin work. 192. Look at that. We just figured out 16 times 12 by doubling and repeated doubling. Remember, you can cut a factor in half all the way until you get to something you know. As a last example, let's try this one. 3 times 9. Well, you can't cut 3 in half because it's an odd number. And you can't cut the 9 in half because it's an odd number. So the doubling and repeated doubling strategy does not work for this equation. It also wouldn't work if you had a number like 21 times 7 because they're both odd numbers. And you could only do it if you have an even number.